What is up, guys? Today we are going to be talking about yoga. I have my good friend Sarah here, and we're just going to get right into it. Sarah, you have been doing yoga for how many years now?
That's a good question. Since I was 16, I'm about to be 24, so math.
Math, okay.
8 years,
About
7
8
years. So yeah, but
Okay.
I've just been teaching for about 2.
2 years, okay.
Yeah.
Is there like a certain credentials that you have to get in order to teach, or?
Yeah, so the funny thing that most people don't know is sometimes not every yoga teacher is going to have their certification or their registered yoga teacher certification. You can get so many different kinds, but the RYT, the registered yoga teacher certification, is the main one that people need to look out for if you are looking for a yoga instructor, because that's indicative of somebody going through an actual yoga training, like a teacher training. And so that's the requirements of at minimum 200 hours of teaching, being taught by actual like yoga teachers, like yoga masters, and then going through their own homework and doing certain trainings and teaching so many classes under a training program. So it's 200 hours at a minimum for their RYT. You can also go to a 300-hour RYT. I believe there's a 500-hour. And then to be an ERYT, I believe you have to teach 1,000 classes. The funny part about yoga is you don't even have to have a certification to teach it. So it's something to look out for if you're looking for a legitimate teacher that's registered. Then look out for the 200 RYT on like their business card, or even just ask if they have it.
What do you think the difference is between going to an actual yoga class versus just starting off doing yoga from like YouTube videos in your room?
That's what I started doing when I was 16 years old. So I had heard about it through a friend, and I didn't know much about it. I was a dancer before that. I played sports my whole life, so I was a really active person, and I knew that I wanted to do something to calm my anxiety. So I found yoga, and I went to YouTube, and I found a bazillion videos. You can find hundreds and hundreds of videos of all types and sorts. And so I was looking for something more restorative and relaxing. And I found it to be great as a beginner because I didn't want to go into a class because I may have felt self-conscious or uncomfortable because I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a yoga mat or anything, so I was just doing it in the comfort of my own room, which I would encourage like any beginner to do, to just try it out, see how it is for them, and then try different types of yoga because there's, like I said, there's so many videos that you can find. Going into an actual studio, the difference would be that you're getting that live interaction with a teacher who can, if you're comfortable with it, do a hands-on adjustment. If you're listening to her cues and you're not quite right, you can look at her and she can come over and see that you're not doing it properly, him or her, and kind of adjust your shoulder to maybe go back instead of rounding, or maybe you can go farther than you actually think you can. So it's there's that different interaction. Plus the vibe and the energy is different when you're around people rather than just like doing it alone. So it's totally preference, but as a beginner, when I was 16, starting with the YouTube videos was perfect for me. So when I did step foot into an actual studio, I felt a little bit more at ease knowing that like, okay, I could listen, or at least just put myself in like the back of the room and slowly ease my way up to just being comfortable, because at the end of the day, yoga it's your little mat and your little practice, and it doesn't matter what else is going on around you, it's your practice. So.
Why is it that certain poses make us think that they're easier than they are, and then once you get into it, you should really be like, hey, calm down, it's not as easy as it is, or as it looks?
Yeah, I still do that sometimes to this day. I mean, in this world that we're living in, we see on Instagram, we see that super bendy person that can just like contort their body in these crazy poses. They make it look so easy, and then you try it yourself and you're like, oh my god, how did she get her leg on top of her head? So I think the whole misconception about it is the body structures are different on everybody. The amount of tendinous and ligamentous stretch on everyone is different, so flexibility is different, and I think just personal experiences of maybe you're not used to getting onto your hands and knees and inverting your body with your legs up in the air, whereas somebody who's been doing this practicing over time, they're making it look easy because they can jump into a handstand and bring their legs over, and they've been practicing that. They probably started out just like tiptoeing, or for sure falling over. Maybe they went to a wall. So I think just the whole misconception is they take away that piece where somebody had to start somewhere, you know, and they just see that first and they see where they're at and they're like, why can't I do that? And I still do that to this day. I still struggle with a handstand on most days, so it's definitely a practice. That's why it's called yoga practice. It's not yoga perfect. So
when it comes to certain people who want to get into yoga, and they already tend to be really like hypermobile and like really flexible, do you think that yoga is right for them, or do you think that they should kind of take it more as a just like a fun thing to do, but focus more on like their strength and like stability kind of training?
That's a great question. I'm thinking of one of my students in particular. She is extremely hypermobile. Her ligaments are like already hypermobile. She can bring her arms out and her elbows are like all bent and contorted in certain ways. So for her, yoga, in her own perception, she is aware enough to know that she's not coming in to get any more flexible, and she's not taking my classes, and it's just a restorative class, very gentle and soothing. She's not in there to like fully relax into this flexibility type stretch. She's in there to relax her mind and her emotional state, and so she knows how far her limits are and to not push it further, because yeah, for those people that are wondering if it's right for them, I would highly encourage a yoga that's more strength based for them, because they don't need extra flexibility when they're already hypermobile. For somebody that's hypomobile and they can hardly touch their toes, that's a whole different story. That's something that I would highly encourage starting off with a restorative class, because that's going to help you relax mentally, which is going to also translate to relaxing physically as well.
When it comes to gear, do
Yes.
you think that a lot of people tend to just go with the outfits that they see a lot of, or is it more important to get certain thing like more leggings, or I don't know what yoga people wear specifically?
Yoga people.
I don't. Yeah,
I'm a
yogis.
yoga people.
I don't know. I know that, like, to my understanding, it's more just like it looks like a leggings. It looks like a sports bra kind of thing. Is it important to get certain things, or can you just pajama it up?
Pajamas. Well, that's the luxury of doing it at home that I also should have said. I wouldn't care about what I wore at home if I was going to do it at home. I just wear pajamas. That's a good question. I think that's another misconception that people have when they first start yoga, is they think they gotta look like the Lululemon ad, or now they gotta go find Lululemon, which I'm not hating on Lululemon, it's amazing. I just can't afford that. And most people my age or others can't afford that either. And so gear-wise, I think the best advice I could give is to be in something that you're very comfortable in. For actually starting your practice, if you don't have a yoga mat, I would encourage you to get one. You don't need the most expensive one, but maybe as your practice grows and you want to find a hot yoga class and you want to get into more intense kind of classes, I guess you could say, you could find yoga mats with a little hot yoga towel, they call it, where you can put it on top of that mat so you're not slipping and sliding when you're sweating. So that's a good one. Sometimes, like Lululemon, they actually make a really awesome mat, but you don't need the most expensive thing of anything for yoga. It's, like I said, it's all about your practice and what you prefer. So if you are the kind of person who has expensive taste, such as myself, and then maybe you go for something with a little bit more quality, because that's the other thing too. If you are doing it a lot, then maybe your yoga mat that's a little on the cheaper end might end up ripping or getting dirtier faster and harder to clean. So something to think about.
I see a lot of people who do yoga and they treat it as if it's like a full lifestyle. Like once you start it, there's no end.
Right.
Is that kind of how it is?
For I think more on the eastern side of the world, yoga is a lifestyle. It's when you're doing it, it's not just on your mat, it's also off of your mat. People have also translated that to the Western world. I don't think it's as utilized, but definitely not to say that people in the Western world aren't using that. I would say I see yoga as a lifestyle. I live that every single day. And so I have my notes here just so I am giving you the proper info, but there's 5 principles for yoga philosophy. It's proper exercise, proper breathing, proper relaxation, proper diet, and then proper positive thinking and meditation. So it's a daily lifestyle, it's a daily philosophy. It's all these 5 things that you're thinking about every day, and you're doing to the best of your ability on that day. So positive thinking and meditation, diet, relaxation, breathing, and exercise. are the 5 principles of a yoga lifestyle. When you do yoga and you jump onto your mat, you're working on your proper exercise and your breathing and your relaxation and your meditation. Not so much a diet unless you're chilling on your mat eating a snack. But when you roll up your mat and you roll out of class, it's what you do next is your choice of choosing that yoga lifestyle or not.
I just want to say thank you to Sarah for coming on this episode and talking about yoga and letting you guys hear everything about it. So is there anywhere that everybody can hear, all these lovely people can find you? I'm going to link everything below, by the way.
Yes, so my email, you can always find me, and feel free to reach out to me, dunawaysarah1@gmail.com. Right here. Let's make it right here. Always
Right
want to
there.
do that. And then you can find me on Instagram at bodymindyoga37. And I am teaching kind of locally right now, and I will be doing retreats soon, so just to be on the lookout, just find me on Instagram and be on the lookout for any upcoming retreats. I also do local events around Temecula, Murrieta area, and I'll be moving down to San Diego soon, so be on the lookout for any kind of events. It's all yoga based, and we even incorporate Reiki because I'm also a Reiki practitioner.
Oh, maybe we'll have to get you on for that one too.
See you then.
All right, guys.